going so
Thank
far.
you, Bree. Well, I've been saying if I can match that energy, I'll be golden today. But it's been great. I've just been walking around and talking to people. This is my first Unleashed. This is my first HR tech conference.
Really?
It is. So I have a cybersecurity and a data background, but this is my first HR tech conference. So it's amazing.
That you're
The
presenting
energy.
at your first HR technology.
That's
Are
a
you?
little scary, but yes.
Did you
amazing.
speak?
I am
Today?
going to later today.
Yeah,
nice.
yeah. So
Amazing.
you are relatively new to your role. Tell us a little bit about your role and what you are excited to present today on.
So I am the CTO at Achievers. I run product and tech here.
Big job. Big job.
I'd like to think so. I like it. But what drew me here really is what we do.
Yeah.
I felt so passionately about this, and I believe, and one of my friends actually reminded me of this. I didn't remember, but she said, do you remember 10, 12 years ago, you said, if I could do anything in the world, I could actually go make this software so much better and for it to serve its purpose. I'm like, really? I said that? So here's my chance to put my money where my mouth is, which is if we can actually meaningfully engage people. And this is speaking as a people leader, right? I've always managed large organizations. If I can connect with them, if I can make them more connected to the organization, to what we do, what can be better?
Wow. You projected it into the universe and it came back.
I love that.
Apparently.
No, I don't think it's that apparently. I think that's still supposed to be, right? Sometimes we don't see it then, but it kind
A
of comes.
manifestation.
Yeah.
And that's why it's so important to have long-term friends, is they keep you honest and remind you.
And they remind you.
Yeah.
I was like, when she said that, I was like, wow, that's amazing.
I got
So,
goosebumps.
yeah.
I love it.
Yeah. It's interesting because you said it's your first time at Unleash
I am.
or a HR
Yeah, it
technology
is.
event.
Yes.
One interesting thing that I've noticed is there's tons of CTOs and heads of like chief AI officers. You never typically see that.
No, you don't. I think that is because we are actually at the start of something truly remarkable here. And we say that about every technology transition that happens, but the number of people who are thinking about AI and how it plays it, and maybe even more so here because it's a very nice kind of juxtaposition almost, where you're saying the human side of things, it
Yeah.
niches the artificial intelligence, and what is it? And that's part of my talk track today. What does it really mean? And is AI going to replace humans? I don't think so. But what it does do is allow us to focus more on the things that we are truly passionate about. The things that I am passionate about, like some of the repetitive stuff, it's the next evolution to automation almost, right? But it is learning from it and it's taking away all my boring stuff. That's the way I see it.
I've got an interesting question for you. So last night I went to dinner with 30 CHROs. And one of the things that came up was around skills.
Yes.
And many of the CHROs said, oh, engineers and coders should be very worried right now. I want to hear your perspective because you live and breathe it.
I do.
And I didn't agree.
Yeah.
At the time. What's your view on that?
I disagree, and here is why I disagree. The way it is today, I'll give you an example from what we're doing at Achievers. I'm going to get a little technical. I'm sorry about that.
No, good. No, don't apologize.
CTO.
But so when you build software, you stand up a lot of microservices, right? There is a lot of work that has to go into standing them up. Let's call it the scaffolding that you have to build to stand up something. You're standing up a service to do something, but there is a lot of like support activities that have to happen. Now, what we're doing at Achievers today is we're using AI to build that scaffolding very, very quickly. What used to take, let's say, a week or two, now takes 2 days, for example, if that. In some cases, it's 2 hours, right, to stand all of that up. Now, what does that let us do? The engineer is still thinking about the domain that they're solving the problem for.
Within the scaffolding.
I'm sorry?
Within the scaffolding.
Exactly. As opposed to building the scaffolding. So to me, it takes out, that's what I meant by it takes out a lot of the boring work that we have to do. And it actually lets us focus on how are we going to design the value-added stuff that we have to build, right? The core value of the service is still us, is still the engineer that's thinking about it. The scaffolding, who cares?
I love your analogy, by the way, because that applies to every single function and job in the business.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So it's good that we asked that question, because the fact that you mentioned around the scaffolding, it would take a lot of time.
Yeah.
In HR, that could be a lot of the repetitive tasks
Yeah.
and the admin.
Yeah.
It's now easily being replaced by AI to free us up.
Right.
To do that. So I agree with you. I love that analogy. I'm going to steal that
Please do.
from you.
And I hate to steal your thunder because you're going on stage soon.
Yeah.
But obviously, the Achievers product is just one of dozens that employees can use. Would
Yeah.
love you to speak a little bit to the importance of integrations in the flow of work.
So I'll take a step back and I'll tell you a story first.
Love that.
So this is, I'm going to date myself, but let's say about 14, 15 years ago, right? My husband comes home and he says, hey, guess what? They deployed something called AnyConnect that my team and I built. I'm super excited because for the first time, somebody in my family is going to use something that my team and I built. Right, so I'm sitting here and I'm just looking at him. What do you do? He goes in, he clicks it, it connects. And then off he goes to do something else. I'm sitting 5 minutes, 10 minutes. I'm like, aren't you going to go back and do something? It's like, no, it connected. It worked. That's it. Sum total of the interaction. That was an aha moment for me. Why was it an aha moment for me? Because what we build in a lot of cases are tools to help people with their day-to-day job, right? It is my day-to-day job. It is not his. It is not theirs. That's when I realized it is so important to meet people where they are at, right? And so ever since then, integrations has been a very, very big part of everything that we have built, right? All my teams have focused on whether it is integrating with other productivity apps. And for example, at Achievers, to create a recognition, we don't say come to the platform. We will meet you where you're at, right? Whether it is Outlook, whether it is Teams, right? And I don't want to steal the thunder either, but further down, like we are starting to talk about how we can integrate meaningfully with Copilot to create more meaningful moments of recognition. Same story with managers, right? If you think about it, if you tell them come to the platform, how many people come to the platform? They have 100 other things to do.
Yeah.
Right? You have to manage your people, you have to do your day job, you have to participate in design discussions, you have to build out the architecture. So it is one less thing, and when it is not in the flow of work, it means they're not going to do it.
100%.
So
Yeah.
integrations is I live and breathe it, because when you make it so easy for them, there is no excuse to not do it or to not use it.
Yeah. We found the same way. So we now built Atlas Copilot, our agent, which we distribute all of our HR content.
Yeah.
And the first thing that was requested from the community was, can you surface this in Teams and Slack? Like literally from day one.
There you go.
So now we're finding that, which sounds strange to maybe to everyone listening, but most of the HR executives in the teams are actually listening to our podcast, watching our content, and actually taking the learning pathways directly inside of Teams. Not inside of Spotify or Apple Podcasts or YouTube, which sounds strange when you say it that way, but it's in the flow of their work.
Exactly.
So they're going to use it. They're interacting with that tool every day.
Yep.
And it just shows up.
Yep.
And we built the integration with Copilot to now it to be bi-directional.
Yeah.
So they actually now can have a conversation with our content. It can be in any language. They
Exactly.
can build learning pathways off the back of that as well. So what I
Exactly.
thought was a very simple thing was actually one of the biggest changes that we made.
Because it engages people more than it is in the flow of work, as opposed to you have to think and go elsewhere.
Yeah.
So a huge part of our strategy is how do we integrate and how do we meet people where they're at.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that. What would you say is one of the current things on your product roadmap that you're most excited about? You're like, what can I share?
And what can I share that Chris is not going to say?
I'm trying to give you all
Why did you do this?
exclusives on the podcast.
No, I think integrations is a very big part of it.
Yeah.
The other part of it is Achievers has so much rich data.
Yeah.
But just by virtue of the fact that we've been in business for long, our platform is the most widely used platform for recognition. So we have orders of magnitude more data than probably any other provider does in this space. How do we leverage that to serve actionable insights very quickly, again, in your flow of work, in a natural fashion? I think we've done some cool things there. We're going to take it to the next level.
Do you, forgive my ignorance, and Bree, you can jump in as well. Does the system currently have context of the organization and the individual in the way in which, in the tone and the language, etc.? I think that's becoming, as we talk about personalization,
Yeah.
that's one of the things that AI is allowing us to leverage, which is incredible.
That is so true. So there is context for sure. Whether it is personalized to the point where we actually could, I don't think so. I think that is where we have the ability to take it, to say, if I say, hey, you are managing this organization, here is how we can benchmark, you can benchmark yourself against your peers. That's what I want to take it.
That's what I mean. I'm excited about that so much.
Me too.
Even the cultural nuance about recognition that you can now leverage AI to help.
Oh, so that is huge here, right? So this is one way where this business is so different from the other businesses that I have been a part of. I mean, cybersecurity, a security vulnerability is a security vulnerability no matter where you are, right? But here, the cultural aspects of it, what recognition means, is so different in, let's say, North America to India, to Australia, to Europe. And what you might consider as, something that really speaks to one audience falls flat with another. So being aware of those norms and being able to, and that is where I think AI really shines as well, to be able to do that for a lot less effort than it would have taken us in past years.
Just couldn't do it. It was such a manual lift.
Exactly.
To be able to do that.
And speaking of meaningful recognition, I hate to throw you this curveball as your last question, or maybe it's a underthrow.
Yeah.
Tell us, if you can, about a recognition moment that was meaningful to you to receive. It was a curveball question.
No. So there is a couple that stay close to my heart, but I'll tell you the one where initially it made me go, huh? And then I was like, oh yeah, I really like it. So one of my team members once told me, hey Anu, I really enjoy working with you. And I said, tell me why. And he said,
that's a great response.
I love it. Tell me
I said,
why.
thank you, but tell me why. And he goes, because you're the grease. I'm like, huh? Say what?
Grease.
Exactly. And then I'm like, okay, you really have to explain yourself.
Tell me
And
more.
he goes, look, in a machine or in any system, there are different parts that all have to work together. If it is not a well-oiled machine, they're going to creak and groan against each other.
Friction.
And there is so much friction in the system, and the output just is not there. With the right amount of grease, with the right amount of oil in the system, everything kind of works as a well-oiled machine. And you don't come in and tell us what to do. You just make sure that we all can work frictionless. And that makes it a joy to be a part of this organization. I've carried that in my heart ever since I heard it.
You should say,
So I'm the grease.
You should say, next time lead with that. not just you are the grease. Yeah. So.
Well, he probably was expecting just a, thank you, that is so great. He didn't expect a, tell me why.
You're the grease. But that goes back to our conversations throughout the last day or so. It's around, it's important to be clear on the recognition.
Very much so.
Yeah.
And it was a heartfelt moment, right? Like for me to actually reflect on this probably happened, I don't know, 10 plus years ago. For me to still carry it and for me to say here to you, I carry it in my heart. Like I said.
am the grease. We need to get a t-shirt.
Yeah, I am the grease.
I am the
Yes.
grease.
So, but it is important to say why.
The why, yeah.
Yeah, we are so lucky to be the beneficiary of your greasy ways.
I'm not gonna let this down, am I?
No, it's going to come up now.
All
Listen,
right.
thank you for joining us.
Thank you very
Good luck
much.
with the session. We'll
Good
see you
luck
soon.
with your session. You're going to be amazing.
Thank you so much. Wish me luck.